So we start now activity-based costing, a very important topic, um, interesting as well, and sometimes it could become complex also. It is actually very widely used. It is one of the costing methods which is actually very widely used in today's business environments. Activity-based costing now, let me just, before I begin, if you remember that we had one costing method which was called under traditional costing, which is called absorption costing method or full costing method. So activity-based costing method is actually, it is based on that same concept. It is quite similar to that. Of course, it is more advanced way of absorbing the cost, but it has some similarities with absorption costing method. So why was activity-based costing developed? We say that traditional absorption costing method, it uses a single basis for absorbing all overheads. If you remember that in when we say absorption costing method, we had one OAR, overhead absorption rate, and based on that OAR, overhead absorption rate, we absorbed the overheads into the cost of production. Overhead absorption rate OAR is calculated in absorption costing using the formula budgeted production overheads divided by budgeted level of activity. So what was happening here that you had some production overheads, and actually those were fixed production overheads, and you have to add them into your cost of production. So let's suppose that you said I have my total production overheads are $100,000 fixed production overhead, and my budgeted activity level is say 20,000 hours. So you said that $10 per hour. This is my OAR. My OAR was $10 per hour. So if any unit is taking 1 hour of time in the process, I will give it $10 of overhead. If any unit is taking 3 hours of time in the process, I will give it $30. 3 multiplied by 10, $30 of overhead will be added into the cost. Okay. So two things were there. Number one, you added all the overheads, all production overheads, you added them together. Fixed production overheads, you added them together. So it gave you one single OER. Number one, it was one single OER. And number two, you were only talking about the production overheads. Now, in activity-based costing, the difference will be that you will not have one OAR. You probably will have multiple OARs, 3 OARs, 4 OARs. So not one overhead absorption rate, rather you will have 2, 3, 4, 5 overhead absorption rates. This is first thing, the difference. And the second difference will be that it is not only about production overheads, it is about other overheads as well. Non-production will also be added. So this is what activity-based costing will do. Now, why do we have multiple OARs, multiple overhead rates? This is what we are going to learn. But one thing we understand that the concept of overhead absorption rate will remain there. OAR will remain there, but instead of having one OAR, you will have multiple OARs. And not only the production overheads will be involved, but other overheads, maybe about procurement, about logistics, about transportation, those will also be added. So activity-based costing was developed due to the following reasons. Number one, increased complexity of products and operations. So remember that absorption costing method, it worked very well and it still works very well in traditional business environment where overheads are little, overheads value is small. But when you go to modern business environment where your overhead size is huge, and a little bit of misappropriation, a little bit of miscalculation could make a big difference in the pricing of product. So you need a method which is very accurate, and you cannot just make, like I just said, that it was so simple that you say, okay, well, what are my fixed production overheads? Rent, insurance, depreciation, supervisor salary, manager salary, production manager salary, add them all. How much is this? This is $10,000. This is $100,000. Okay, how many hours do we work? We work for 10,000 hours. So let's say that my overhead is $10 per hour, and that's it. That's done. It is pretty simple, very simple. So any products, now I make doors, windows, chairs, tables. So any product which is taking 1 hour, give it $10. Any product which is taking 2 hours, give it $20. Any product which is taking 5 hours, give it $50. And that's all. You made it very simple. But in modern business environment, when your overheads are huge in size, overheads could be in hundreds of millions of dollars, you cannot use this simplistic approach. You need a more, how to say, sophisticated approach to allocate overheads among different products. Otherwise, your allocation of overhead between different products would be wrong. And when I say a sophisticated approach, I mean that we need to see that which product is using which activity. So there is a source of cost. So who is using that cost? Overhead should be charged to that particular product. I'll give you an example. Let's suppose to understand when I say that increased complexity of products and operations, and we need a more sophisticated approach. So when I say more sophisticated approach, what do I mean and where the problem arises? See, imagine that you sell electronics, okay? You sell television, radio, refrigerator, washing machines, electronics. How do you sell? You have a shop and then you sell them online as well. The shop has a rent of probably 50,000. Okay, let's call it. The rent of the shop is $10,000. Okay. Now this is an overhead. Of course, it's not production, but it's an overhead. Now the question is that you have two different departments. One is the shop, which is your outlet, and one is online. So the online manager, the manager for the online business says that my customers, they come to my website and they buy from me from the website. This cost should not be charged to me. And he is it makes sense. And similarly, the manager of this retail outlet would say that you have a website and you maintain the website, and there are some costs, some overheads on the website maintenance. My customers do not go to the website, they come to the shop and they buy from here. So the cost of the website should not be given to me. So previously we were adding everything inside of this 100,000. This 100,000 included the rent of the shop, it included the although it's a non-production thing, but just for the sake of understanding that you were adding up everything, and when you were giving $10 to each product, it included the rent of the shop, it included the website cost as well. Now we say no, we should be only charging that cost to a particular product or to a department, whatever, which they are using. So you need to have a more detailed analysis so that the wrong cost allocation should not happen. So complexity it will create. Increased proportion of overhead cost in modern businesses. Yes, like I said that in modern businesses, the size of the overhead is so big that even a 1% wrong allocation could make a significant difference in numbers. Non-volume related support activities. So there are some support activities which are non-volume related, like customer service. Who is going to pay for that? Okay. For customer service, I give you another example. So you've got a team of customer service people who are, in the same shop. So there is probably 2 or 3 technicians, then, or let's suppose transportation or delivery. You can also consider transportation cost. You have so I've got a loader, I've got a driver, I've got someone who installs the equipment, an engineer. So a customer comes in, places an order for a refrigerator. You say, okay, we will place to your, we will place to, we will, send it to your house and we will install it, the air conditioner, the refrigerator. So 2 people, they lift it, they put it in the van, they take it, they deliver it, they install it. There is a cost to that. So in that shop, refrigerators are sold, air conditioners are sold, which required this type of delivery and installation. But in the same shop, these cell phones are also sold. So the manager of the cell phone department will say that my customers, they never ask for a delivery and they never ask for a installation. They come in, they walk in, they pay the money, they take the phone and they go home. So if there is a $20,000 expense on delivery transportation, so the depreciation of that vehicle, insurance of the delivery vehicle, fuel and maintenance of the delivery vehicle, driver of the delivery vehicle, the engineer who is installing it, and the loader and everyone. I sell phones. and I don't want this cost to be attached to me. So if I am the manager of this cell phone, that $20,000 on delivery and installation, I've got nothing to do with that. So please do not send it to me. So non-volume related support activities are there, and many, many, many other examples I can give. Primary idea will remain that we will analyze that what are the overheads within the organization and who is using those overheads or those activities, and only those products will be charged. So it becomes more realistic, it becomes more relevant. Improved cost management and decision making. Of course, when you will start making this analysis and start recording the cost separately, then your cost management will be better and decision making will be better. Otherwise, what will happen? If you have this $100,000 total overhead and you are giving it to me, so every time I sell a phone and you say, oh, $5 is for delivery and transportation, I never used it. I just sell telephone. My customer comes in and they take it. I don't use your delivery. So the delivery cost, transportation cost, installation cost should go to refrigerators, it should go to washing machines, it should go to, I don't know, air conditioners, whatever. I'm not responsible for that. So what is activity-based costing? It is a method of costing. It is, now understand it, it is a method of costing which involves identifying the cost of the main support activities and the factors that drive the cost. We call them cost drivers. Factors that drive the cost, drive means the reason, the cause. So what are the reasons for for these costs? For example, if I talk about delivery, so the number of trip, more number of trips you make, more cost, more delivery cost you will incur. So if I talk about delivery cost, so what is the driver for delivery cost? What is the reason for delivery cost? Number of deliveries. The more number of deliveries you do, the more cost you will incur. So we find out what are the costs, we identify, and what are the factors or the drivers which drive these costs. Support overheads are charged to the products by absorbing the cost on the basis of the product's usage of these drivers. So whoever is using the delivery, refrigerator, you are using the delivery, so delivery cost should be charged to you. Air conditioner department, you are using the deliveries, so delivery cost should be charged to you. I sell watches in the same shop, in the same store. There is one section which sell these cell phones and watches. I don't use deliveries. My customer never say that, please deliver this watch to my house. They come in, they pick up and they go. So we find out the cost and the cost drivers. And once we find out the cost and cost drivers, then we say that which product is using it. To that product, we will give the cost. And in this way, a better allocation of cost or overhead cost will be possible. Major ideas behind ABC: activities cause cost. Remember, this is actually a little bit debatable because this is one of the disadvantages or arguments against ABC, but it's a small argument. Primarily, we believe that activities, they cause cost. What is activity? For example, I came in this room, I turned on the light, because I need light. As soon as I turn on the light, it's one activity and it has a cost. So cost starts because I start using electricity. I turned on my computer, it starts sucking power, another cost starts. I pick up a phone and I call a customer, it has a cost. So activities, they cause cost. We believe here that our cost is a result of some activities. A customer says, please deliver this product to my home, and you say, okay, let's make a delivery. Delivery is an activity and that has a cost. So this is actually the main idea. By the way, the downside of that is, or the argument against is, which we will see in the end, which is not very relevant. It has some implications, we'll talk it later, which says that there are some costs which are not dependent on activities. For example, rent. You do some activity or not, you have to pay the rent. Insurance, whether you drive your car or you do not drive your car, insurance is gone. So there are some costs which are not based on activities as well, but primarily in order to understand this scenario, we assume that the costs are the result of activities. Second, manufacturing product creates demand for the support activities. So when you and those activities, so when you manufacture products, the demand for those activities will increase. So what are those activities? Could be packing, could be, you know, transporting the goods, delivery, support services, whatever. So the more you produce, the more activities will take place. This is what it means. And cost assignment is done based on products consumption of these activities. And then finally, we say that the cost assignment, which means cost allocation, will be done based on the consumption of these activities. So what are the activities which are causing us cost? One activity is customer support. One activity is delivery and transportation. One activity is packing. One activity is, I don't know, anything else. So these are different my activities. And now I say, what are the cost of doing these activities? And then I say, who is using these activities? Let's charge them. So this is the main, how to say, the main or primary philosophy behind this method of activity-based costing. It could become complex in some situations, but it is generally very much acceptable. And in real life, it is very much used because it gives you a very good picture and a very different picture as against the traditional absorption costing method. I'll show you a same situation, a same scenario. One time I will calculate with absorption costing, one time I will calculate with the activity-based costing, and then you will see the difference in numbers. And then you will be surprised because there will be a big difference in numbers. When I say difference in numbers, it means that, the difference in the cost per unit. So it is possible that in the same scenario, if you will calculate your cost per unit using absorption costing method, it will say that your cost per unit is $20. And when you use your ABC method, it is possible that it will say, no, your cost per unit is $28. So $8 could be the difference. I mean, there could be significant differences. So it's a very interesting topic, like I said in the beginning, but sometimes it could become complex as well. And it will take some time to complete. So let's stop this introduction session here and then we move forward.